the day!
In the brutal chaos of medieval warfare, soldiers wielded weapons designed to shatter bones, crush skulls, and slice through armor with deadly precision. Some of these brutal tools were kept such a secret that many today still don't know about them. Here are the 15 most lethal medieval weapons that ruled the bloodied battlefields of the Middle Ages. Number 15. Falchion. The falchion is a distinctive one-handed sword, with a history as intriguing as its design. Recognizable for its straight blade with a flared, cusped tip, the falchion stands out with its unique blend of functionality and form. This blade, often compared to a scimitar due to its single sharpened edge, has a broad, almost cleaver-like profile, which remained largely unchanged from its inception until the 13th and 14th centuries. During this period, a cleaver-style variation briefly emerged before reverting to its classic design, a testament to its enduring legacy. Historically, the falchion's design dates back to the Greco-Roman era, making it a sword with ancient roots. The hilt of the falchion typically mirrors that of other single-handed European swords, featuring a grip guard and pommel similar to its contemporaries. However, the falchion's rarity is underscored by the few surviving artifacts, with notable exceptions, such as the exquisitely etched and gold-plated examples found in prestigious collections like the Wallace Collection. The falchion belongs to a broader, unofficial family of swords, including the Storta, Bracamart, Baudelaire, and Malchus. Among its kin, the German Grossmesser is a well-known relative. The term falchion itself derives from the Latin word falcatus, or falx, meaning sickle, highlighting the blade's sickle-like curve. Believed to have been primarily a commoner's weapon, the falchion was relatively affordable and versatile. Its broad, axe-like blade may have served practical purposes beyond combat, such as a tool for cutting and chopping, akin to a machete. Despite its utilitarian design, ornate versions of the falchion were also carried by the nobility, suggesting its appeal across different social strata. Number 14. Morning Star. The Morning Star, a weapon with a poetic name and design, is a relic from medieval warfare that captures the imagination. Picture a hefty wooden shaft topped with a spiked iron ball, a formidable tool crafted for both blunt force trauma and piercing attacks. This weapon, with its brutal efficiency, combines the impact of a club with the savagery of a spiked mace. Originating in the 14th century, the Morning Star made a notable impact in Germany, where it was known as the Morgenstern. The weapon's design was both functional and symbolic, its spiked head resembling a menacing star, a detail that may have inspired its name. Unlike the mace, which evolved into a full metal weapon, the Morning Star retained its wooden shaft, merging old-world craftsmanship with emerging steel technology. In Vienna, historical examples of the Morning Star illustrate its impressive evolution. One such weapon measures an astounding 2.35 meters, with a wooden shaft reinforced with steel and an array of asymmetrical spikes. Another variation features a solid steel head with 4 V-shaped spikes mounted on a long shaft that underscores the weapon's versatility and deadly efficiency. This weapon was versatile enough to be used by both infantry and cavalry, though the mounted versions typically had shorter shafts to accommodate the dynamics of horseback combat. The Morning Star's length and the ferocity of its spikes made it particularly effective against armored foes, capable of breaching defenses and delivering crushing blows. Medieval art and literature frequently immortalized the Morning Star, illustrating its significance on the battlefield. An intriguing mention from a 1486 poem describes it as a rather simple morning star with spikes mounted in an asymmetrical pattern, capturing both its functional design and its imposing presence. The Morning Star's enduring legacy is preserved in museums and historical collections. Graz, for example, houses 183 specimens from the 1600s, a testament to the weapon's continued use and evolution over the centuries. Each artifact reveals a piece of its history, reflecting the craftsmanship and martial skills that defined its era. Number 13. Warhammer. The Warhammer, an imposing and formidable weapon of medieval warfare, is often overshadowed by mythical icons like Thor's Mjolnir, but its storied history is no less captivating. Emerging around the mid-14th century, the Warhammer was a direct response to the evolving nature of combat protection, specifically the advent of plate armor. As armorers began crafting armor from riveted plates and incorporating contoured sections, the traditional sword and axe faced new challenges. These advances made sword strikes less effective as armor became better at deflecting blows. In response, combatants sought weapons that could penetrate or circumvent these defenses. This led to the rise of concussion weapons tools designed to inflict damage through sheer force rather than sharp edges. The Warhammer was a significant development in this category. While the hammer as a basic tool had ancient origins, it was during the medieval period that it evolved into a specialized weapon. Early battlefield versions included the war mallet or maul, often made of wood or lead. However, the true warhammer appeared in the late 14th century, as depicted in manuscript illustrations and battle histories. These hammers were designed with a large iron head, often flanged or pointed, intended to crush or penetrate armor. One notable instance of the warhammer's effectiveness is seen in the Battle of Wisby in 1361. Archaeological digs at the site uncovered skulls with distinct square punctures, unmistakably made by early warhammers. Similarly, during the Battle of Rosebecque in 1382, French chronicler Jean Froissart described the cacophony of battle. So loud was the clashing of swords, axes, maces, and iron hammers on those Flemish bassinets that naught else could be discerned above the din. This vivid account underscores the warhammer's role in the chaos of medieval combat. By the early 15th century, the warhammer had evolved into a refined weapon. It featured a head roughly 2 inches square, mounted on a 25-inch shaft, making it similar in design to a battle axe or mace. Typically used by mounted soldiers, the warhammer was designed for downward strikes, where its concentrated point of impact could deliver devastating blows. The hammer's smaller surface area compared to a mace or axe meant that the force of impact was concentrated on a smaller spot, capable of denting even the toughest armor. Though it might not have been able to pierce the best armor, the warhammer could still stun or incapacitate an opponent by creating a significant impact. The design allowed for powerful, precise blows that could disrupt and disorient, often making it a potent second weapon for horsemen. Number 12. Poleaxe. The poleaxe, also known as the murder axe in Germany, was a formidable weapon that dominated European battlefields from the 14th to the 17th century. Its distinctive design made it a staple for armies across Europe, offering both versatility and effectiveness in combat. This pole weapon featured a variety of configurations, but typically included a combination of a hammer, a beak, and an axe blade at the top. The beak was ideal for piercing armor or unseating cavalry, while the hammer was used to deliver crushing blows. The axe blade could slice through armor and shield, making it a versatile tool in both offense and defense. One common feature across all variations was the spear-like tip at the end of the pole, which provided a means for thrusting attacks. With an average length slightly shorter than a man's height, the poleaxe was well suited for the dense, hand-to-hand combat of the medieval battlefield. It was particularly favored in knightly duels, and by soldiers who needed a reliable weapon that could be wielded with precision and strength. Manuals from the period provide detailed descriptions of poleaxe techniques, emphasizing its adaptability and the need for skilled handling. The weapon was gripped with both hands, spaced slightly above shoulder width. The positioning of the thumbs, either pointing forward or toward each other, could be adjusted based on the user's preference and the situation at hand. Changing the grip quickly was crucial for maximizing the weapon's effectiveness in close combat, allowing fighters to switch between its various ends, depending on the attack or defense required. Number 11. Halberd. The halberd, a formidable two-handed weapon, stands as a testament to the ingenuity of medieval warfare. Its name, derived from the German words Halm, which means shaft, and Bart meaning blade, aptly describes its design: a long, versatile polearm equipped with a combination of blade and spear. This multifunctional tool was adept at slashing, thrusting, and cutting, making it ideal for both mounted knights and foot soldiers. The halberd's design made it particularly popular among the Swiss Kriegsknechten, or mercenary soldiers, who often came from humble backgrounds. These peasants and farm laborers, recruited from the ranks of everyday people, favored the halberd for its versatility and ease of use. In the medieval Swiss territories, conscripts were responsible for their own military equipment. Thus, the halberd's all-in-one capability allowed these fighters to efficiently manage both offense and defense without the need for extensive training or multiple weapons. Tracing the origins of the halberd reveals an intriguing history. Though its exact beginnings remain somewhat unclear, recent studies suggest it emerged in the 13th century in the region of Alsace and Basel. This theory is supported by historical records such as Conrad von Würzburg's The Trojan War, a romantic poem from around 1281 to 1287. In this work, Conrad vividly describes warriors wielding hallenbarten, noting their effectiveness in splitting both horse and rider. The halberd's presence in medieval texts reflects its significance and widespread use. Additionally, historical records from Strasbourg between 1297 and 1322 mention the halberd in legal contexts. The city's authorities outlawed various weapons, including the helmparten, indicating its common use and the need to regulate its presence. Number 10. Mace. The mace, a weapon with ancient origins, evolved significantly by the medieval period. While early maces were simple clubs with rocks mounted on the end, their medieval counterparts became far more formidable. Typically, a mace consisted of a heavy weight attached to a sturdy handle, with more brutal designs featuring vicious metal spikes or flanges. These features were not merely decorative, they were designed to dent, pierce, and penetrate armor. The mace's design made it exceptionally effective against heavily armored knights. When wielded with force, it could inflict severe damage by transferring the full impact into the knight's armor. The result was often a violent impact that could crush chests, cave in skulls, and shatter bones. Even the finest plate armor struggled to protect against such blows, as the mace's force could leave its victim paralyzed, brain damaged, or severely injured. A minor blow from a mace could knock a knight off their feet, making them vulnerable to follow-up attacks. Maces were not only effective, but also relatively simple and inexpensive to produce. This accessibility allowed even peasants to wield such a weapon, turning the tide of battle and offering them a chance to defeat armored knights. Number 9. Flail. The flail is a formidable weapon that embodies the raw power and chaotic unpredictability of medieval combat. Unlike other weapons of its time, the flail combines a solid metal shaft with a spiked ball or club attached by a chain. This ingenious design creates a weapon capable of delivering devastating blows with unparalleled versatility and force. Imagine holding a medieval flail. A hefty metal shaft extends from your hand, and at the end of a sturdy chain swings a massive spiked ball. This combination allows for strikes that are not only powerful, but also unpredictable. The flail's chain enables the ball to wrap around shields and other defenses, bypassing traditional armor with ease. The swinging ball can smash through defenses with a force that a fixed weapon like a mace simply cannot match. Consider the classic medieval flail with its roughly pound-weighted ball. The chain gives you the ability to attack from different angles, making it nearly impossible for an opponent to predict or block your strikes. The sheer weight and momentum of the ball can crush armor and bone alike, delivering blows that are both brutal and effective. Then there's the German flail, a heavier, more elaborate version with a long chain and a larger spiked ball. This version of the flail turns the weapon into a true powerhouse. Every swing becomes a thunderous impact, capable of breaking through the toughest defenses and causing chaos on the battlefield. The heft of the ball requires great strength to wield, but rewards the user with unparalleled striking power. Even more impressive are the Renaissance mangual and Iberian flail, with their extended chains and intricate designs. These variants bring a new level of sophistication to the flail's already fearsome capabilities. The extended chain allows for even greater maneuverability, making it possible to strike from unexpected angles and deliver crushing blows with devastating effect. In its simplest form, the agricultural flail, originally a tool for threshing grain, transformed into a potent weapon of war. This repurposing of a common tool into a formidable weapon underscores the flail's adaptability and effectiveness. In every form, The flail's combination of weight, chain, and unpredictable motion makes it a fearsome weapon that demands respect and skill from anyone who wields it. Its ability to deliver crushing, unpredictable blows ensured its place as a powerful and formidable instrument of medieval warfare. Number 8. Glaive. The glaive, a formidable pole weapon from the late 14th and early 15th centuries, stands out in the annals of medieval weaponry. With its long, curved blade affixed to a sturdy pole, the glaive was designed for slashing attacks, allowing warriors to maintain a safe distance while delivering powerful strikes. During the 100 Years' War, the glaive was wielded by both common knights and high-ranking men-at-arms, including dukes and nobles. This dual usage underscores its versatility and the respect it commanded on the battlefield. Illustrations from the period, such as one depicting the Duke of Berry, reveal that the glaive was not merely a weapon of brute force, but a tool of strategic finesse. The glaive's design is a blend of practicality and artistry. Its blade, while sharp, was not just for cutting. It was also used in thrusting maneuvers. The pole's rear end often featured a spike, and when combined with the blade's curved edge, it created a formidable weapon for both offense and defense. In combat, the glaive could be employed to deflect enemy strikes, create openings, and exploit weaknesses in an opponent's armor. Medieval combat manuals, like those by Fiore de Liberi and later German fighting treatises, describe the glaive's use in intricate combat techniques. For instance, a common tactic was to use the glaive's point to bind and redirect an opponent's weapon, creating an opportunity for a decisive thrust or strike. This method was particularly effective against armored foes, where the focus shifted from cutting to leveraging the pole's thrusting power to bypass or penetrate armor. Number 7. Billhook. The billhook, often recognized as a simple farming tool, evolved into one of the most versatile and effective polearms of medieval warfare. Originally designed for pruning trees and cutting brush, its utility was soon recognized on the battlefield, transforming it into a formidable weapon used by soldiers, particularly those from the lower classes. The design of the billhook was deceptively simple. The blade featured a curved, hooked end that allowed users to pull down branches while farming. When adapted for combat, this hook proved equally effective at pulling mounted knights off their horses or snagging shields and weapons. The billhook could not only disable opponents, but also slash through armor with powerful downward swings. The sharp, hooked blade could cause deep wounds or pierce gaps in armor, making it a deadly tool in close combat. In Britain, this weapon was often called simply the bill. Though still known for its use in agriculture, the bill found prominence on the battlefield due to its practicality. Unlike many other weapons of the time, the bill was affordable and easily produced from a flat piece of metal, making it accessible to soldiers who couldn't afford more elaborate or expensive weapons like swords or lances. This simplicity and effectiveness made the bill one of the most commonly used polearms among medieval infantry. One of the reasons the billhook gained prominence as a battlefield weapon was its ability to evolve. Variants of the bill included longer blades and even spikes that were added to enhance its thrusting capability. The original agricultural design remained, but with these additions, the billhook became a weapon that could both slice and stab, offering multiple offensive options to its wielder. Some versions featured an extra spike on the back of the weapon, allowing soldiers to use wide sweeping attacks or to flip it around and pierce an enemy with a powerful thrust. The billhook was not just effective against foot soldiers, it was also used against cavalry. The hooked end could catch onto a knight's armor, pulling them from their horse and making them vulnerable to attack. This ability to dismount cavalry made the bill an essential weapon for infantry, leveling the playing field against mounted opponents. Over time, the billhook became so common that entire units of soldiers were equipped with them, known as billmen. These soldiers played a critical role in many battles across Europe, particularly in the British Isles. The billhook's versatility, affordability, and ease of production ensured its place in the history of medieval warfare. Number 6. Great Sword. The Great Sword, a colossal two-handed weapon, was designed to break through enemy lines with its devastating sweeping strikes. Emerging during the Renaissance, it became a symbol of sheer power and brute force on the battlefield. Its massive size, sometimes reaching between 63 to 71 inches, often as tall as the user, gave it an extended reach and unparalleled cutting power. This size made it unwieldy for single-handed use, but the long grip allowed for leverage to control its heavy blade. The greatsword's primary purpose was to deal sweeping blows that could cut through multiple opponents in formation, making it an ideal weapon for soldiers tasked with breaking enemy lines. Its length also provided reach against shorter weapons, giving its wielder an advantage in keeping foes at a distance. In terms of function, the greatsword had a close cousin in the Scottish claymore, known for its similarly imposing size and effectiveness in battle. Despite their heavy frames, they were surprisingly versatile in the hands of skilled warriors who could use their momentum to deliver crushing strikes. The greatsword became a formidable tool in the hands of elite soldiers, capable of altering the course of battle with its overwhelming force. Number 5. Pike. The pike, a towering spear that could reach over 20 feet in length, was the ultimate tool of defense in battle formations, particularly against cavalry charges. Used since ancient times, the pike's history dates back to the Macedonian phalanx, where soldiers employed long spears to devastating effect. While the Romans favored their javelins, pikes became a dominant weapon during the Middle Ages and into the early modern period. By the 16th century, swords, maces, and other close combat weapons took a backseat to pikes and their shorter cousins, like halberds. Battles were often decided by the strength of infantry formations, armed with these pole weapons, which allowed them to maintain distance from mounted opponents. Pike formations, or pike squares, became the backbone of many European armies, especially those of the Swiss, who famously used them during the Burgundian Wars. Pikes were particularly effective against cavalry. A formation of pikemen could present 5 or 6 rows of steel-tipped spears to an oncoming horse charge, making it almost impossible for horses to break through. Contemporary accounts likened these formations to an impenetrable wall of spikes, hard to breach even by the most heavily armored knights. Infantrymen, when standing their ground, formed a nearly invincible defensive front. The effectiveness of the pike went beyond just its length. As historian Clifford J. Rogers notes, the pike's two-handed grip allowed soldiers to focus significant force into a single point, making it a formidable weapon, even against plate armor. It was not about slicing through armor, but applying concentrated pressure to overcome the strongest defenses of the time. Number 4. Lance. The lance was the iconic weapon of medieval knights, symbolizing the power and prowess of mounted warriors. Unlike spears or javelins, which could be thrown or thrust multiple times, the lance was specifically designed for charging enemies at full speed on horseback. When a knight galloped towards an opponent with a lance, the combined force of the horse's speed and the weapon's length created a devastating impact, often breaking through shields and armor in a single thrust. Made from sturdy wood and sometimes tipped with iron or steel, the lance could be anywhere from 9 to 14 feet long. To ensure control during the charge, knights used a vamplate, a circular guard on the shaft, that prevented their hand from sliding forward upon striking. This design helped knights retain their grip during the impact, ensuring that their charge delivered maximum force. The lance's power lay in its role as a one-use per engagement weapon. After a successful charge, the lance would often be shattered or too unwieldy for close-quarters combat. For this reason, knights also carried secondary weapons like swords, axes, or maces to fight hand-to-hand once they had dismounted or the battle had progressed into a melee. The lance's primary advantage was its ability to deliver an overwhelming blow at the start of combat, a feature that defined its use during medieval warfare. Aside from its battlefield role, the lance was also central to the chivalric sport of jousting. Knights would face off in tournaments, using their lances to unhorse opponents in a demonstration of both skill and bravery. Number 3. Axe. The medieval axe was a formidable weapon, renowned for its simplicity and devastating power. Unlike swords, axes were top-heavy, allowing them to deliver bone-crushing blows with ease. At the Battle of Hastings in 1066, one of the most iconic moments in English history, King Harold's elite warriors, known as the Housecarls, wielded the fearsome Danish axe. These battle-hardened soldiers, among the finest in Europe, fought with discipline and strength. The Danish axe, named for its Viking origins, had a long handle, often up to 5 feet, and a wide, crescent-shaped blade. Swung with both hands, the battle axe could decapitate a man or horse in a single stroke, showcasing its sheer power on the battlefield. Despite its size, the axe was surprisingly light and well-balanced, allowing skilled warriors to wield it with one hand while defending themselves with a shield in the other. The axe's versatility and lethal efficiency made it a staple of medieval warfare. Whether in the hands of a Viking raider or a Saxon housecarl, the battle axe became a symbol of strength and savagery. It was not merely a weapon, but a tool of terror that shaped the course of battles and left a lasting legacy in the annals of military history. Number 2. Longsword. The longsword stands out as one of medieval Europe's most iconic and adaptable weapons, embodying a perfect blend of strength, precision, and versatility. Characterized by its cruciform hilt designed for two-handed use, the longsword features a blade ranging from 31 to 43 inches and weighing approximately 2 to 3 kilograms. Its design allows for a powerful yet balanced handling experience, making it an essential tool in both combat and training. Emerging in the later 14th century, the longsword was shaped by various schools of thought, each adding a unique spin to its use. Hans Talhofer, a renowned 15th century German fight master, exemplified this versatility. His techniques transformed the longsword into more than just a weapon. It became an extension of the fighter's body, incorporating wrestling and grappling into its repertoire. Talhofer's approach showcased the longsword's ability to seamlessly transition between aggressive strikes and defensive maneuvers. The longsword's adaptability was particularly evident in armored combat. Fighters employed a technique known as half-swording, where one hand gripped the blade itself for enhanced control during thrusts and jabs. This allowed for precision in targeting gaps in armor and executing powerful thrusts. Moreover, the longsword's design wasn't limited to just cutting and thrusting. The pommel and crossguard were also utilized offensively, with the crossguard sometimes used as a hook to unbalance opponents or even as a hammer in certain combat scenarios. Number 1. Crossbow. The crossbow, a game-changer of medieval warfare, stands out as a symbol of strategic evolution in combat. Though not used in close combat, its impact on changing the way battles were fought is unmatched. By the 14th century, the crossbow had become a masterstroke of military engineering, boasting limbs forged from steel that could punch through even the most formidable plate armor. This innovation marked the pinnacle of a long development process, transforming the crossbow into a weapon that redefined how battles were fought. Early Norman crossbows, however, were a far cry from this advanced design. These early models featured wooden limbs, which, while functional, lacked the punch of their later steel successors. Despite their limitations, they were far from ineffectual. Effective at medium range, these wooden crossbows played a crucial role in the battles of their time, proving that even a less powerful weapon could be a game-changer with the right tactics. Crossbowmen faced a grueling task. Drawing the string demanded significant physical strength, but they weren't left to their own devices. They employed a clever contraption known as the belt and claw, which used leverage to make cocking the crossbow less of a Herculean effort. This ingenious tool allowed crossbowmen to use their back and legs to draw the string, making the weapon more accessible and effective. In the chaos of battle, crossbowmen relied on large shields called pavises for protection. These shields were essential for defense, enabling crossbowmen to shield themselves while reloading. The crossbow's precision and ease of use, coupled with its cheaper ammunition compared to the longbow, made it invaluable, especially during sieges. Defenders would use wooden galleries, or hoardings, to shield themselves while aiming down at their foes. A clever trick employed by these defenders was to place a thumb lightly on the bolt to keep it from falling off before firing, a testament to their resourcefulness. By around 1200, the wooden crossbow began to be eclipsed by the composite bow, which combined horn and sinew to deliver superior power in a more compact form. Despite this, the simple wooden crossbow remained a staple, illustrating its enduring utility and adaptability in the face of evolving military technology. Whether on the battlefield or atop castle walls, the crossbow proved itself a revolutionary force, forever changing the art of war. Which of these brutal medieval weapons do you think had the most unexpected impact on warfare? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.